Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode here. Thank you for being here with us. And today I am really excited to be here with my friend Bodhi. Hi.
Hi, Teresa. Thanks for having
Hi.
me.
Of course, you're welcome. I'm so excited because this is such a subject so dear to my heart to tend the earth. It just right aligned with what we're doing here. And let me tell everybody a little bit about you. Bodhi Simpson is a visionary artist, art therapist, teacher, an author based in Maine. Her work integrates imagination, compassion, creative expression, story, myth, and deep ecology. She's passionate about reconnecting people with magic and mystery of the mythic, symbolic, imaginal realms and supporting the exploration of our relationship with ourselves and with Earth. She assists others in learning to see through the eyes of their hearts so that they may have an embodied encounter with life. And she's the author of fabulous book, The Girl Who Cried for the Earth, a story of hope, healing, and possibilities. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And the topic is just healing Earth through story. So I'm so excited to have this conversation today. And let's just dive right in. What's the inspiration for this story?
Yes. Well, it's so funny because it's like, where do I even start? The inspiration, I feel like, was as a little girl when I started. I did have a vision that one day I would write a story. Isn't that funny? And as a little girl, I remember growing up and just noticing things and wondering why wasn't anybody ever talking about these things, like just noticing the way people hurt each other sometimes and um littered and hurt nature and killed animals and yeah, just all of these big thoughts that I think a lot of us probably have as children, that we become kind of desensitized to. So it started there. It was a seed in my heart. And then fast forward to about 9 years ago, I had my stepfather was living with us and he was dying. And I was sitting with him during that time, connecting to my grief. And um, I just started writing. I started writing, and it was a story that at the time was called A Girl Who Cried for the World. And so I was connecting again to my grief for him because he was afraid to die. There was a lot of things that that I was thinking about connected to that. And it expanded to the little girl that just wanted to help heal the suffering of the world, not knowing how. And then um, I didn't really know what the middle of the story was, but then fast forward to the ending of the story ended up being um, everybody on Earth came together in cooperation and support, and love. And, um, so it's like I could feel that possibility. I just didn't know how to get there. And so I started a PhD program and yeah, and that's kind of when I was able to really enter into a journey in a different way to put the pieces together.
Yeah, how wonderful! And reading your dissertation and the story, it just all falls into place. I can see the progress of the story and the illustrations that you have done. You're such a wonderful artist. Do you want to share a little bit about how was that for you?
Thank you so much, Teresa. Yes. So the paintings. Okay, so there's a story that we're kind of talking about that was it was like a container that was kind of just like coming through. And then I started painting. So I had never painted really. I always was somebody who drew, but I was afraid of painting because I thought you had to do it a certain way. So I'm an art therapist, so I do support people in expressing themselves in creative ways. I do want to say that. And so I always played with paint and I would draw, but to actually paint something was new for me in this way. And so I just felt called to paint. I started painting in relation to some of the courses I was taking with Dr. Will Tagle. He gave me permission. He said, Bodhi, you can express however you want what you're learning. So he said, you can, I want you to do your research. And if you want to dance or paint or, whatever you want to do, also do that because that will help you integrate your learning. And so I feel like it was by him giving me permission to honestly learn the way that best supports me. It gave me the permission to start painting. And so I started with taking an eco meditation course with Dr. Tagle. And a part of that was connecting to my landscape and noticing how earth and the plants and the animals and the weather was all communicating with me. And so I started to paint um, every animal for a whole year. I painted every animal that came into my awareness. And honestly, Teresa, I was amazed that so many animals, like when you actually pay attention, when you slow down, when you look around, nature's communicating with us all the time. And so anyway, so I started painting. So there's one painting, I don't even know what page it's on, but okay, here it is. It's actually pretty large. It's in front of me right here at the desk. But it's this painting. That was kind of the first painting of the
Oh,
series, just
yes. I
animals.
love it.
Can't really see it that
Yeah.
good, um, but yeah, just a lot of creatures that
Beautiful.
I didn't realize were all around me. Oh my goodness. So started with that. And then from there, I couldn't stop painting. I just started, if I felt sad, I would paint so again, being an art therapist, I support others in expressing themselves. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to give myself permission to just paint my sadness. I'm sad. Um, so I just started painting my personal story. I painted feelings about my parents, growing up when they were going through their divorce and what that felt like as a little girl. And then through COVID, I started painting things I saw in the news. So there was like, I remember like wildfires in Australia. And I was just like, in my meditations, I was tuning into what are the animals doing? They're dying. Where are they going? Their habitats are being destroyed. So I painted my grief. It was like a prayer. My paintings, I realized, became a prayer. They became my connection to myself, to nature, to the earth, no matter where I was.
And your
And so I couldn't
therapy
stop
as
painting.
well. It
It was
became,
my therapy. It was my therapy. And so I didn't know, I guess my point is I didn't know these paintings were going to be part of the story that I had written when I was a little girl, really the seed in my heart, but also when my stepfather was dying. So I didn't know everything was connected.
I love that because yes, you do have that seed within you in your heart, and then it evolves, or all the dots connect, kind of like a web, like a spider web.
Yeah.
It all becomes like boom, boom, boom together, and then here it is, the result, and that's the beauty of
Yes.
being creative, right? You just need a little spark of that seed and take action, and then evolves in. It's happened to me as well when I'm writing something and then I put it aside, but then something else happens and it connects those two dots, and you're like, oh
Yes.
my gosh, and it kind of gives you another second wind to continue creating that.
Yes. It's not like we can
Not
only see
linear.
so
It's not
far.
linear.
Right. Right. It's not linear. It's like you feel it. It's like, oh wait, this is connected to this. Right. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, the
Yeah.
creative process is everything.
Yeah, it's not linear. It's not in the mind. It's sometimes it's on the soul. The soul is the one that's leading in, or the heart, like you said, is like that's what it's mostly leading this creation of stories that we are here to share.
Yeah, and what I realized like through my own creative process, so because I thought I was writing a story, right? It's like I wrote the beginning and I wrote the end, but I was like, what's the middle? I realized that I had to become conscious of the story that I was living. And so, and I feel like that's so true for so many of us. Like we're not always aware of what we believe to be true and the ways we react to things and all of this. And so, as we're writing stories or, a larger story for humanity, like this book kind of ended up feeling like it was becoming, yeah, I had to create the space and the time to be with my sense of my story. Anyway, and I don't know if that's true for you in your process
Yes,
at
I
all,
also
Teresa.
feel it's kind of like an embodiment, right? We're
Yeah.
embodying the story as it develops. That's why I think it's very clear, like, oh, the beginning or maybe the ending, but then as the middle part of it, the story is like, because You,
Yeah.
the story is you, it's part of you.
Right, comes through you, right, it's your expression. Exactly.
So you, as you mentioned, you started to awaken to the eco field and being aware of the animals that you were able to notice and see. So that changed and evolved.
Yeah, it is the embodiment. So the creative process, right, it allows us when we can learn how to open and connect and engage with life this way and what's coming through us. Yeah, so I was able to like be with my own story. It was like my own art therapy, really. Be with my own story, and the more I was working with it, I realized it was bigger than just my story, you
Yeah,
know?
and I love that also because I do resonate with what you mentioned. I've been nature is my home. That's my therapy to me. That's my mother, my home where I feel taken care of. And every time, and mostly when I go hiking or spend time in nature by myself, like you mentioned, I'm like I it's multi-sensory experience. Not only I hear the animals, I sense them like coming closer towards me, and I feel that it's like because my energy is coming off, you know, quiet energy, observant, they make themselves visible to me. So I had so many encounters where, like, there'd be other people around, but I'm like, oh, did you just see the hawk pick up the snake? Or things like that. And they're just amazing encounters like that. So I resonate with that. And that's how I feel the earth is bringing you in. And to continue on that question, how does the earth communicate with you?
Yeah, yeah. So thanks, Teresa. Yeah, it's funny how these questions are flowing in and kind of weaving this all together. That's what I realized through this process is that Earth was communicating with me through my expression, like you said, being in nature, through my opening, attuning my senses to the information that was being relayed to me through nature. And I feel like so many of us have just forgotten because, as I was writing this story and painting and putting it all together, that was one of the messages that came through that, like, oh yeah, when I was a little girl, I remember being with the ants. I remember sitting with them. And then I remember kind of having this larger awareness of the ants' consciousness and that they were communicating with me things just by sitting with the ants. And yeah, but then we grow up and we're learning how to do things in a certain way. And then I just remember feeling shame for being in my imagination or feeling even shame for being an artist. I remember like being in high school and like all I wanted to do was go on to college to be an artist. That's all I wanted. But I remember the message was you can never have a career being an artist, or basically that's not a respected career. And so it's been such a journey to come back to myself, who I've been since I was born is um, very connected to my creative expression. And I believe that is how Earth communicates with me, is again through that urge to paint. What I expressed became a mirror to me that it's like I had to build a relationship with it because it literally came through. And then as I would sit with my imagery, my paintings, it still talks to me. It still tells me things, and it might be different on a different day. Um, and yeah, so being in nature for me, my creative expression, and I feel like this is the case for all of us. Doesn't mean everybody likes painting, but it's like whatever anything we do can be creative. I think that's the other thing I just want to say, and I know Teresa. We just like we do this to ourselves and it's not even our fault. It's kind of how we've learned to be in the world. So, yeah, I feel like Earth communicates with me in all ways if I allow myself the time and space to be with it.
Yes, that's the important key right there. If you allow to listen to the communication, because sometimes, it's telling us the messages are there, but we don't listen. We don't slow down to listen, not only individually, but collectively, right? That's where we are in the situation we are right now. So also, I know you mentioned that some of these communication is through dreams, right?
Yes.
You did have
Yes.
some, so can you elaborate?
Yeah. So basically, the more that I gave myself permission, again, I had Dr. Tagle giving me permission. It's funny how sometimes we just need we just need somebody to give us permission. And even as an art therapist, I feel like a lot of times people I work with will come in and they're like, "Oh, I don't really know." And I'm like, What do you want to try? Oh, I want to try painting. Great, do it. You have permission. It's like, oh, good. Bodhi gave me permission, so now I can paint. Yeah, so once I was given permission and then I realized, oh, I can do this. I can create space to do this regularly. Um, oh wait, what was the question? It was, I'm losing myself here.
About your dreams. I mean,
Oh,
how
about my
the
dream.
images or
Then,
are
yeah,
communicating. Yeah.
yeah. So then the more I did it and the more I sat in meditation with my paintings again, kind of like allowing what came through and then going with what I was feeling called to do and sitting in nature, it was as though I was living in the dream world. So when you're able to be in that kind of liminal space of that, like open mind, open heart, imagination, I'm not caught in what I'm thinking about. My mind is open. Um, it was no different than being in my dream world. It was like I could be in my dream world awake. And so the more practice that I had with receiving inner imagery and, like you said, connecting to the landscape around me and the eco field, my dreams became more vivid. And it was like there was no separation. So I would have a dream. So there was one painting in particular that I can show you in this book that was a dream experience in the sleeping dream world. Can't really, it's hard to tell, but this was
Yeah.
a,
Yeah, it looks good. I can
you
see
can
it.
see it. Okay. This was a dream that I had when I was just in such terror in my dream and I was walking and there was this dark shadow and I was like terrified in my dream. And I saw these like glowing green eyes. And then the more I looked, it was a jaguar. And the jaguar just looked at me like deep into my soul and was like, stop, breathe, breathe into your fear, stay present, feel the ground under your feet. And, when you stay present to your fear, you can, evolve and move forward with great power and strength because fear is not taking me out of my body, and off my feet. And it literally told me this. And so I woke up and I wrote it down and I sketched it. And so then basically it said, stay present on my gaze. And everything around it started like melting and fading away, but this stayed clear. And so it was cool because my kids actually helped me do this acrylic pour. It was during COVID when this dream came through, or it was like, no, it was like right before COVID that the dream came through. And I'm telling you, this painting got me through COVID because there were so many times when things were like not clear and it was like it went on for years and it was really scary. And I would sit in front of this painting and it would tell me just breathe, stay present. Um, and so, yeah, so I started painting it. And so then what happened is in my waking life, so I went to visit my grandmother. She happened to have a black jaguar poster above the bed. And then from there, we went to visit friends down the road in Florida, and they lived on like Panther Lane. And then I got into the house, and then across the street, the owners had a black Jaguar for a vehicle. And so it was like, oh my goodness. So it's like I couldn't even literally like the waking and the dream world were one. So it's like I really feel like or what I learned through all this process with the support of Dr. Tagle and the Earth Tribe community, which is where I met you, Teresa, um, was that if we have community to be able to talk about these experiences and that we're not told like, that's stupid or that's weird or that's not okay or that's wrong. Everyone was like, "Oh, tell me what was your experience? Oh, what happened?" Oh, like just validating these inner experiences that I had. Um, I don't know, I just felt so whole. I was like, "Okay, I am receiving information in my dreams. I'm paying attention, I'm seeing clearly with my eyes open." And yeah, so through this process, I feel like I learned something we can all learn. We just aren't taught how to.
Exactly. And a lot of us are very isolated and don't have the community support, like you mentioned, where we met in community. And there's some, once you start opening that up, it just floods you in, right? There's other ways to like ceremony that we do that you connect with the earth, the elements, the animals, your spirit animals, your guides, and all of the bigger consciousness of the world outside of the human construct.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like this became a ceremony and a ritual for me. It's what it was, became that. Right, we need some
exactly.
kind of
Yeah.
container. Right.
Yeah, we just need to be guided and allow, like kind of like Dr. Will Tagle told you to go ahead and paint. Sometimes it's like a simple thing like that that you're like, oh, well, let me try that. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. Right. Ceremony. Okay, let me try that. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So that's part of the growth, your personal growth. It becomes your personal journey. So it's beautiful. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, see, now you
Yes.
opened up this Pandora's box and you just yeah. And what does it mean you talking about to see with the eyes of the heart? Let's go into that.
Yes. Yeah. So seeing with the eyes of the heart. So it's funny because through this whole journey, so I'm writing my dissertation. These paintings are coming through. And well, if you look here, again, I didn't even know what this meant. It just kept coming through. In the paintings, I noticed like she had her heart wide open, like it just felt called to,
Beautiful.
if you
Yes.
know me, all my drawings always look like cartoons or paintings. It's just my expression. It's how literally in my imagination how I see things is in cartoons. Um, and
Yeah.
so I draw a lot of hearts. Have a lot of certain symbols, which we probably all do. So there she's seeing with her heart. Here, when she's feeling into the grief, again, just connecting, it's really hard to show, connecting with
Can see it fine. Yes.
the suffering in the world, when you just take a minute and be with it. Uh, oh, her heart was just, and I'm sure so many of us have felt this. It's almost like unbearable. So we try to, I think, ignore it and not think about it, not watch the news, not be inundated. But anyway, sometimes it's hard to avoid. And life, part of life is suffering. That's part of our humanity, right? Here she went walking and here she just like it's just hopeless. There's no, and you can see her like her arms are crossed, her legs are up. Her heart was closed. So her heart became closed, which was a metaphor for that disconnection that I'm talking about when it's just like that overwhelm of I don't know what to do. I don't know how I could even help. This is just a hopeless situation. That was kind of the experience in that of like, it's just too big. There's too many problems, just being in that negative mindset and that fear and that disconnected feeling. And so through the book, through the paintings, let's see, when did her heart open back up? If I can recall. There was a time ah, when here she is, back open, when she realized in life there's suffering and there's also beauty. And there's beauty sometimes in our suffering. There's darkness and there's light, there's joy and there's pain, there's grief and there's love, there's all of it. So in our wholeness, it's all of it. And so as this all was coming through to me, and again, I'm just kind of painting it and researching and exploring the the dissertation ended up being called The Path of the Visionary Heart, seeing, what is it? Earth through healing Earth through imagination, creative expression, and story.
Yes.
Thank you.
I have it
Okay.
right here.
Yeah, good. And so what came through in the writing and the research through the painting was that seeing through the eyes of the heart is again learning to make sure we aren't just up here all the time or with our hearts closed up. We can learn to connect to our bodies and to our, not just to the earth, but to our larger identity as earth. Because what I discovered through my journeys and through my research is, of course, and through my inner experiences, is that all of life truly is interconnected. And so I am Earth. We are Earth. You are Earth. Earth is not separate. And so by seeing through the eyes of my own heart, again, I connected to, um, I opened up to compassion for life and for myself. And so I learned and explored and realized that our heart considers the highest good of all. So we can not just imagine, vision and feel and dream into new possibilities from a lens of just me, but through my larger identity as Earth, okay, if I, what's the vision that I'm seeing here? Is it good just for me or does it benefit all of life? And so, ooh, it just like blew my perspective open of, if we can see through the eyes of our heart, we're not just considering ourselves, we're considering the highest good of all of life. And like, why couldn't we all? What would happen if we just all considered that possibility? I mean, what would be different? We would take action from a place of love and compassion and consideration, as stewards of the earth versus like, I don't know, greed or I don't know, just you know what I'm saying. So that was what came through. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
I do my best to notice when I'm not seeing through the eyes of my heart now, you know?
Mm. I love it, and I love that painting because I think we have been domesticated to always separate the light and the dark, the good and the bad, and label things, which actually those energies are really complementary, like you said, life, like there's good and positive experiences and not so good, and that's life. And so we also are a reflection of the earth. Kind of like thinking that painting is, it says it right there, the sun and the moon. There's daylight and there's nighttime. That's how every day goes. So I believe, once you are see that how it is, that is complementary, not separate, and not to fear it, you are more a reflection of what the earth is. And we as children of the earth is this is how it is, not see it as a negative or with fear. So with an open heart.
Yes. Yes. And it's like in the story, what I realized is the girl, me, and maybe like if other people read it and resonate and go, oh, and I've had a lot of people say, like, I recognize myself. I know this story. Um, then it's like we can be in the darkness because we're not going to be stuck there because we know there's also light. And so it's like we can just have that awareness that, again, like when we go through our hardest days, sometimes I have to remind myself too, we all do, doesn't stay like this forever. Things do shift, like winter. Sometimes, I don't know, those of you that live in Maine or New England area, it's dark a lot in the winter. And I have to remind myself, eventually the seasons change, the sun comes back. It's there, it's behind the clouds. And so yeah, it just holds that larger awareness that right, life is all of it. And same like you hear about like that toxic positivity that people talk about, where you are maybe only focusing on the light and the joy and the beauty and not able to acknowledge that, sometimes things are hard and there is suffering, and but how can we bring compassion to that and our loving attention and not disown it. So not disowning any aspect of being human or life, the cycle of life. So
Yeah, and also like you said, find beauty also in the darkness of winter, right? I mean,
yeah.
I'm in California, so we have a lot more sun. No, not winters like
Yeah.
in Maine, but I love my winters. I actually wish we had more. It's like what is I've learned throughout childhood, like I resonate with you, you say I grew up in a very small farm in Spain, northern Spain. So we had four distinct seasons. And I loved each one of them for what they offered. I remember fall, it was like, I love going to the forest after rain, picking mushrooms. In the winter, I love getting snow. In the spring, I love all the flowers. And summer, I loved it. That didn't get dark till like 10:30. So I was out and about. As I grew up, kind of like you say, and got domesticated, or what the mainstream kind of tells you, it started to feel like, oh, here comes winter. It's gonna get dark earlier, and you kind of just pick up on what you're told, and that's kind of where we get stuck. And then on my awakening, I'm like, no, I loved every season for what they offer. And that's where I'm back at. It's like, okay, we're summertime. Even though it's to me it's too hot or whatever, but I can be in water, a lot of water activities and things that make me happy. Going back to the childhood, that innocence, that exploring and just being.
Yeah, it's like an intimacy with life. And I remember Dr. Takel always talking about intimacy with the eco field and intimacy. And I remember I used to, at the beginning, I thought intimacy was sexual. I didn't understand. I was like, intimacy? And so in working with him, he helped me understand, right? It's like being in relationship. We're in relationship to ourselves, to each other, to the earth, to with everything. And so like even when my stepfather John was dying, and I at the time, I was scared of death. I think a lot of us in our culture here in America, or at least I'll speak for myself, but we know it happens, but we don't really talk about it. And so I was a little bit scared because he was scared. He didn't want to talk about it. And so being with him while he died, up through that time, I felt like even though he was in my perspective suffering, we had an intimacy, and I felt connected with him. I feel like I felt more connected with myself and with life, and it would changed me. So as we have these intimate connections with suffering or with pain, there's goodness in them. I don't know. Yeah. So
Yeah, I love that about intimacy. And I know you went to Teotihuacan as well. Did you go for the Day of the Dead journey?
I did, and that was life changing.
Now that you bring up the death and the comfort, let's take a little bit on that
Yeah.
road. I had a similar experience. To me, it was my mother passed away when I was 19. It was a sudden tragic death, and didn't have the tools or anybody to help guide the grief or anything like that. And then 20 years later, when I found Earth Tribe and the journey to Mexico, that is the intimacy that you're talking about for me happened. Like, look, yeah, I was afraid of death as well. I was like, oh my gosh, I've lost people. I had miscarriages. I had a lot of death in early on. But looking at the way of the traditions of the Mexican culture, seeing it not as an ending, but a continuation of life, and how they celebrate death as the celebration of life, of the remembrance, and how everything from picking the flowers and the things to put in your altar, just that made it, that took the fear away from me. And the exercises that we did, uh walking towards death as an ally. And that was just, like you say, life changing.
Yeah, after that experience in Teotihuacan, I was no longer afraid of death. It's like we all just kind of need some kind of initiation into this part of life. It's a part of life. It's a chapter, it's a season, it's an experience. Um, it's a
Yeah.
part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and we also I kind of started learning. That's kind of when I say my healing and my awakening started happening. Also look at nature. There's, fall is coming up soon. There's gonna be death of, harvesting fruits. The leaves fall out of the trees, but they all know they're just coming back in the next season. So it's just kind of seeing it. That's the cycle of life, to honor
Yes.
it rather than fear it.
Yes. Yes. There's a lot of fear, a lot of fear. So a lot of this whole experience was kind of being with that and getting curious about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm trying to, like, put the message out there also, that I feel there's a lot of fear of being out in nature. A lot of many people have come to me, oh, I live vicariously through you, your hikes and your experiences, and I'm like, well, what's the fear of going out there and experiencing that for yourself? A lot of people don't want to do it by themselves, or oh my gosh, there's bears, there's snakes, there's all kinds of excuses, which TV and news can
Right.
put a lot of that. But I'm trying, my message is like, to connect with nature, you really don't have to go hike that mountain, kind of like your girl did, go out to the mountain. You can just start in a park, at a garden, and just kind of be present, be there, be and see with your heart rather than your mind. The mind is where the fear lives.
Yes.
So come to your heart.
Yes. Yeah, sit in your driveway. That's what I did as a little girl. Sat in my driveway in the cracked concrete and opened my heart to the ants, like 1 foot out of my doorway. Right.
Love it. Beautiful. So what message do you want to leave the audience with, besides, of course,
Mhm.
reading your book, wonderful book, but what other message do you want to share?
Yeah. Oh gosh. One message is, or one experience that came through me was part of what made it feel so big was like, again, where do I start? And what I learned through my process personally was it starts with us. And so finding a way to create the space to get curious about, what are you feeling? What do you believe to be true about life, about what's possible? Doing a little bit of inner work around that is needed, I feel, before we can open to a larger perspective. So, just again, awareness, opening our awareness. Like Teresa and I mentioned, maybe if it feels too scary to go to a park or something, go sit on your grass, sit next to a tree in your yard or someplace nearby if you have one. But just start. And remember that if all life is interconnected, which it is, and we now have science to prove that, as you create the space to get curious about what you believe to be true and how you feel, so just notice, am I able to receive my own love? Notice if there's a block there, because that's where it starts with the opening the heart, is if we can receive our own love, that's going to ripple out and affect the whole, right? If we just think of ourselves as like one little cell in the body of the earth, maybe, um, that, yeah, we can start with allowing ourselves to be loved and honored by ourselves before we can expand to our larger identity as earth. And then once we can get there, so it might take time, is what I'm trying to say. Took me about 9 years from my exploration. Doesn't have to take you that long, but it starts with us. And then as you can love yourself in your own body, taking care of yourself, um, starting to again make choices that are not just in benefiting you, but like even makeup. Oh, I'm gonna people will say, like, "Oh, I bought myself some new makeup." How's that makeup made? Is it ethically made? Is it harming animals? And it's, like just simple things that, again, I used to feel really overwhelmed by these choices. Now I take a minute and I research it. Do I want to buy this product or this product? What is the most ethical decision I can make in this moment? And sometimes it can feel overwhelming if you think of all, like, even like buying trash bags to pick up trash. Sometimes I get caught in, but the trash bags are made of plastic, and what trash bag should I buy? And so I guess not allowing yourself to get in that spiral that the girl gets in, or that I got into, or that I can still get into. And yeah, focus on yourself, getting curious about your own personal story, your perspective of that, how you're giving love to yourself, and that will ripple out. And then from there, once you're living through the heart, you're seeing through the eyes of the heart, you can keep making choices that will benefit yourself and the planet.
Great message. I love that. At the end of the day, it's love, love for yourself. And also, when you love yourself and you love the beauty of the earth that has the Mother Earth that is providing for us, when you love something, you want to take care of it, you want to protect it. Like you mentioned,
Exactly,
protectors.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, and find community. Like Teresa and I were saying before this talk that, oh gosh, social media is kind of overwhelming, and thank goodness for it at the same both sides, and thank goodness because we met years and years ago, and we're able to connect with like-minded community. We have a similar vision and work in the world, and so finding community, even if it is virtual for now, that resonates, that can support your visions and your experience.
Yeah, and you can connect with us. That's why we're here,
Yeah,
putting some
exactly.
conversation out there. And one last thing I want to say about that, you did mention, I love this, seed in my heart, how that book idea came about. It was a seed in your heart. And I want to say, in relation to nature, where do we plant the seeds? In the darkness, in the
Yes.
soil. That's the darkness that
Yeah.
we're talking about. That is
Yes.
positive. We are in
Fertile.
the we're in the womb in the darkness. So darkness is not bad. It's not negative. That's where you plant seeds and you water them and give them light. You just grow.
Yeah, and us too in the womb, and that's even in our imagination, that place where all possibilities come from is
Yeah.
that void.
Yes. Not a scary place. It's a place of creation.
Yes, exactly. Yes, we're giving
Yeah.
permission to have a different relationship
Exactly. There we
with
go.
darkness. Yeah.
In case you needed it. Oh, wonderful. So, before we close, do you want to share what you're working on, or how, if you have any offerings that people can join you?
Sure, that would be great. Yeah, so let's see. After COVID, I've kind of been redefining the work I do in the world. So by day, I work as a professor at a university, helping therapists learn how to incorporate creative expression into their work with clients. I'm also an art therapist, very part-time, locally in Maine. But so I think my business is called Conscious Creativity and Art Therapy. And I do have a Facebook community called Conscious Creativity and Art Therapy Community, if anybody wants to be part of that and connect there. Also, through that business, which is bodhiSimpson.com, I also really enjoy offering different workshops for the community and also for therapists. So I do, if you're interested, if you're again interested in art workshops or creative expression workshops, either as a therapist or not, connect with me. You can sign up on my website for my blog, and then that you'll be connected to my newsletter when I share about different offerings. Also in May 2026, so we're going to have registration opening up in a few weeks. We are taking people again to Crete, Greece to explore the myth of the labyrinth. So if anybody wants to join us there, if you are a therapist, we have NBCC continuing education hours and specific pieces for therapists, but you don't have to be a therapist. A part of my joy with all of this is, again, just really diving into the imaginal realms, into myth, into symbols, metaphor, all these good things. So we're going to Crete, Greece. I'm also with Sheila Safer, who I know you know, and Jen Sundin, who I know you know. Um, Two beautiful women that I also met during the Earth Tribe community time together. We have come together to co-create something called the Triple Spiral Mystery School. And we'll be starting our new spiral. It'll be March 2026, and it's aligned with Sacred Feminine, goddess. It's a goddess exploration, and it's for over 9 months virtually in community, conscious community. And we have creative expression and writing and dance and singing and all kinds of beautiful things. And we learn about a different sacred feminine myth every month. And then we come together once a year in Maine in October for something we call a goddess quest, where we're connecting to the landscape around us and in really magical ways in community. So those are a few of the offerings I think that, that are kind of happening in the near future.
Wow, I love it. So exciting. And I will post your
Great.
website so everybody can go and then sign up for your blog newsletter and so they can keep an eye for those offerings. It's beautiful. Yes,
You.
I love the focus on the divine feminine that women, we need a lot of community in order to change this paradigm that we've been living and reconnect to Mother Earth, like I feel like
Yeah.
we need a little bit of that remothering with the mother.
Yes, yes. And all this is sacred feminine, like connecting to our emotions and expressing
Mhm.
ourselves and bringing compassion and nurturing and, so it's all just continuing to practice the feminine aspect, I guess, of life.
Yes, that's beautifully said. And well, I just want to thank you so much for all your work in the world. I love it. I know we're soul sisters, Earth Tribe. We are on the same path, and I'm so happy that we did this. So anybody out there who's listening wants to connect with your work, what you're doing, and just expand your community. Like, we've seen each other probably once during a week, right, in Texas, but we've
Right.
like connected through our community
All these
and
years,
follow
yes.
up like, oh my God, look what she's done. She's completed her PhD. She's did the book. So you also an inspiration for mine. So,
Yay.
and that's what community does, right? When you see somebody, I'm like, oh my, let me get back on that. Let me
Mhm.
continue on with my work, that my creativity, my passion, and PhD is a creative project. You don't have to paint, like you said. You can just write. There's so many ways of expressing your creativity. You can garden, you can
Yes,
be a chef, you can cook with, gathering the herbs and whatever it is that you're cooking. There's so many ways to connect with the earth and be creative. And I think at the core of it, like the essence of it, is the love and gratitude for ourselves, for the earth, and for the larger community.
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much. And I'm really honored to have you here.
Thank you so much, Teresa. This was really it's just so wonderful, again, to be with you, but also to have the opportunity to have a conversation about this and to share it with those that might resonate. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you everybody for being here. Many
Thank you so
blessings.
much.
Bye.